Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Continuing our reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam with commentary by Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur. We're on the second verse, which begins with the words Dharma Prajohita Kaivato Cha Paraman Nirmastaram Satam. The Supreme Lord becomes immediately captured in the heart of the accomplished devotees by hearing the Bhagavatam, and even by those who have suddenly developed a desire to hear it. This does not happen with other works. In the Bhagavatam alone, created by the Lord himself, is presented the real, permanent object which can be understood by those without selfish intentions and which bestows auspiciousness and release from the material world of miseries. In the Bhagavatam alone is presented the process for attaining the highest object, devoid of all material goals and liberation. So the first three verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam are introductory verses, giving us the purpose of the Bhagavatam and the results of hearing the Bhagavatam. And here it is stated that the Supreme Lord becomes captured within the heart. The principle is that Krishna is attracted to those who hear and chant about his glories. The principle of being captured within the heart means the principle of love. Krishna sees that here is my devotee wanting to hear about me and chant about me. And there's a quality of love in that. Even if we're in our initial stages, just awakening our faith, still there's a principle of love which is based upon that faith. Otherwise, why would one do something? So Krishna hears us chanting his name. Krishna sees us hearing the Bhagavatam. And in one sense, as we have come to understand, the Bhagavatam is non-different than the Lord. So in itself, hearing the Bhagavatam is a glorification of Krishna. Just hearing the Bhagavatam itself glorifies the Lord. We know that this was the number one book of Srila Prabhupada in translating and wanting to bring to America. He wanted, of course, to bring Krishna to America. And he did so in the form of Harinam Sankirtan and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he carried them with him on that journey from India to Boston, then to New York, on the Jaladuta. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the commentary says, is the essence of all scriptures. And among all scriptures shows what is beneficial and unbeneficial for the jiva. And since it has discerned with conviction the root of all benefit, it laments for the great diversity of recommendations of what is beneficial and unbeneficial for the jiva, arising from the people's different qualifications and from different philosophical opinions. It is unfortunate that there are so many different opinions and ideas and so forth, but this is the world of diversity like this. But one who has developed an attraction for Krishna and wants to hear and chant about Krishna finds that Krishna becomes very close. And that's what it means here. He's captured within the heart. Krishna is there. And if one is aware, one can feel his presence at all times. The Bhagavatam gives bliss to the listeners and thus allows everyone to achieve the highest object completely. This is what is being made clear in this verse. Through the hearing process, the Bhagavatam is most auspicious, Srimad. It is most auspicious, and the Lord in the shelter of everything else, Sri Krishna, is immediately brought under the control and captured in the heart of that accomplished person who is devoid of selfishness, who are mentioned in the verse as being qualified for hearing the scripture. That is, there cannot be any selfishness ideas in hearing the Bhagavatam. One should simply hear the Bhagavatam in the mood of glorifying Krishna. Not what I will get from this or anything like that. Trying to, in the Vedic system, there are many systems of sacrifice for the purpose of gaining something. Different types of yajnas and so forth. But this is not meant for that, for gaining some material benefit. It is not a yajna to achieve one's accomplished goal, except that if it is Krishna. That is what will be gained. By hearing the Bhagavatam, one will gain Krishna. And here it says he becomes immediately established within the heart. Krishna is drawn to that devotee who hears and chants about him. This indicates that prema arises in the devotees, since the Lord is brought under the control of prema alone. Pranaya rasanaya dritangri padmaha. The Lord's lotus feet are tied by ropes of prema to the devotee. So, binding the Lord, of course, no one, even we know, like the story of Mother Jashoda, she cannot bind the Lord unless the Lord agrees. Every time Mother Jashoda tried to bind the Lord in the Damodar Leelas, the rope was 2 inches too short. So that means no one can capture the Lord by one's own efforts unless the Lord agrees to be captured. And what captures the Lord is the principle of prema. So chanting the Lord's name, hearing the Bhagavatam, these are considered offerings to the Lord, coming from the heart of the devotee. And therefore there's prema there. Even if it is slight, we're discussing that even if it's in the initial stage of awakening your faith for Krishna, there is some element or seed of prema there, which gradually begins to open and bloom. Krishna says to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotee. One may perform the Ashtanga Yoga system, engage in philosophical analysis of the elements of material nature, practice non-violence or other principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penances, even taking to the renouncer of life. None of these things capture me. The execution of sacrificial performance, digging wells, planting trees, performing other public welfare activities, giving in charity, carrying out vows, worship of the demigods, chanting different mantras, visiting holy places, or accepting major and minor disciplinary injunctions. None of these brings me under the control or captures my heart, says Krishna, except those who hear and chant my glories. Krishna enters the heart of even those who have suddenly developed a desire to hear, even from the moment they begin to hear. Since they develop the desire to hear even before having faith, even before that faith is matured, something has drawn them to hear about Krishna, to chant about Krishna. It means that they develop prema simply by hearing the Bhagavatam. Then how much more quickly would they develop prema if they begin hearing with faith? Here it says that the power is there even before one's faith. If somehow one is drawn, maybe one is attracted to hearing some sadhu speaking about Krishna, some holy devotee speaking about Krishna. They're drawn there. Okay. Somehow I find some happiness here. Sitting here, seeing this devotee speaking about Krishna, seeing his charming ways, hearing Krishna's name when they're chanted by the devotee. Somehow a person may be drawn, even without faith. But gradually that faith begins to develop. But even in that stage, before faith, here Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur states that Krishna is drawn to that person. He has come to hear. he has come to chant. So Krishna is drawn to that person. The name of Krishna is sweeter than the sweetest, the most auspicious of all auspicious things, the highest fruit of the tree of all the Vedas, and is composed entirely of pure consciousness. Heard once with faith or intelligence, it delivers any human being, states the Padma Purana. This verse indicates the inconceivable power and the extraordinary words that denote Krishna. This verse shows that the mind becomes fixed in Krishna. What to speak of faith, where there is just a little relationship with anything connected to Krishna? Persons who are devoid of offense attain the level of bhav, states the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The Lord is captured by the mind and will not leave. That imprisonment occurs immediately, even without faith. Somehow this has the power to attract Krishna completely. Therefore, unless one makes offense against Krishna's pure devotee, or any type of aparad towards the Lord or his devotees, Krishna will always stay with us, lifetime after lifetime, however long it may take for us to get that intensity of longing for Krishna, however long it may take. But Krishna will always be there, and ultimately he is guiding us to the proper destination where we will grow spiritually and achieve our highest spiritual benefit. Bhagavatam, therefore, should be understood to be a great science. And if the two words, sadhya and kritibi, are taken together, it means Krishna is brought under the control immediately for those who are accomplished or qualified, whereas it happens after a slight delay for those who are not so qualified. Qualified means they have faith. But even if they have no faith, it will take place, and gradually awakening of Krishna Prem will manifest. Both types of persons, the accomplished and the unaccomplished, are qualified for hearing the Bhagavatam. Thus, it will be said in the next verse, O expert and thoughtful men, relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. Here, Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur quotes the next verse that is coming up, which then pleads with us, or requests us, that you who are expert and thoughtful, as you have begun to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, now relish it. Hear it, saturate yourself with hearing the Bhagavatam, because it is the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literature. He then says, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Shukadev, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it himself through experience. This is a verse from the second chapter of the Bhagavatam. As the story plays out, then we know Maharaj Parikshit takes shelter of sages who are performing a yajna for the attainment of the heavens, knowing that he will be he has been cursed to be bitten by the snake Takshaka in 7 days. But Shukadev manifests there and changes the entire environment of why those sages originally gathered. They gathered with an intention of doing yajnas to attain to the heavens. But as soon as Shukadev came, who was originally an accomplished monist, who then had developed a desire for Krishna Prem by hearing the Bhagavatam himself. He assimilated it and therefore wanted to share that message with others, as was the order of his spiritual master. Then immediately the environment was shifted from the original intent to hearing the Bhagavatam. All the sages were already gathered there. Maharaj Parikshit came, so it was the proper setting, and Shukadev manifested there to speak the Bhagavatam, changing the entire mood of personal material pursuits and like that in performing one's jhanas for the attainment of Krishna, changing the hearts of all those who began to hear. Takshanat means because of Krishna's merriment or festival, he becomes caught in the devotee's heart, since Krishna becomes supremely blissful by being trapped in the heart, filled with prem. This also indicates that Krishna is happy and filled with prem when the devotees hear the Bhagavatam. The whole process of Krishna consciousness, of course, is the process of expressing our love towards the Lord, gradually maturing to higher and higher degrees. So love means pleasing the object of one's love. It is not a selfish thing. Love cannot be selfish. Love is the principle of trying to please the object of our love. And so Krishna becomes pleased. He becomes joyful because this is pleasing to him. When we engage in this process of hearing and chanting, it pleases him. Therefore, for him, it's like a grand festival, a great utsav, a great festival. It is the festival of prem. It is the festival of love. So the Bhagavatam has such power to attract the Lord. It attracts Krishna. When we call him, Hey Krishna, or Hare Krishna, Krishna comes. Sometimes it says Krishna is dancing on the tongue. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then we let him through our ears and into our heart. So this indicates that Krishna is actually happy, and he becomes filled with prem for his devotees. Not only, love is two-sided, of course, because there's two people. The one who is offering, one who is receiving, but the one who is receiving is also offering. So Krishna wants to give us his love as we want to give our love to Krishna, like that. So it's a grand festival, or play, we'll say, like the Ras Leela, divine play, the play of love. This is what Golok Vrindavan is. It is the divine abode of love, where it is played out in so many different ways. It is Krishna's playground, where the highest love for him and his love for the devotees is expressed. Having described the excellent results of hearing this scripture, the verse describes the excellence of the Maker. Mahamuni indicates that the Lord himself became the sage and planned the work, for this is explained in the scripture itself. The Bhagavatam was first revealed in an abbreviated form by the Lord himself in the heart of Brahma in 4 verses. Then it became expanded upon. So at the very dawning of creation, Brahma inquired, why am I here? You can just imagine, it's like a person waking up, say he's been in a coma or something, he's waking up and where am I? Why am I here? So Brahma was in a deep, deep sleep, then he awoke. And then question came, who am I? Why am I here? The same question that mankind has. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And so the Lord gave 4 specific verses that will be described later in the Bhagavatam, which is considered the key verses of the Bhagavatam. And from that, the full expansion of the Bhagavatam takes place. So this came originally from the Lord himself. The Bhagavatam is how the Lord reveals himself to mankind within this world. Sometimes he appears, and sometimes he appears in the form of his book. I meditate upon that pure, spotless Narayan, who is free from all suffering and death, and who previously revealed this incomparable lamp of knowledge to Brahma. It was Brahma then who spoke it to the sage Narada. This is the beginning of the disciplic succession, from Brahma to Narada to Vyas. Brahma received this knowledge. Brahma spoke it to Narada, who then narrated it to Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva then revealed this Bhagavatam to the greatest of sages, Shukadeva Goswami, and Shukadeva mercifully spoke it to Maharaj Parikshit, of course, for the benefit of all mankind. So this is how the disciplic succession begins, with the recitation or the manifestation of these 4 verses, which then expands out into the complete Bhagavatam. Having then been revealed in full by Vyas what is to be understood in this work, the object which is substantial, that which is there from the beginning through the middle and the end, is the Lord himself. And what action does this work recommend? It recommends giving up all selfish desire and strive for the highest goal of simply loving Godhead. Then you ultimately understand yourself, your purpose, everything is revealed. The Bhagavatam reveals everything like this. Thus, the indication is the action is to be performed selflessly, that without selfish motive. It will be shown later that anyone who is a human can perform bhakti. It doesn't require any kind of caste conscious idea that I'm a Brahmin or like this. Anyone, from Brahmin down to the lowest, can awaken their love for Krishna through hearing the Bhagavatam. Any human being, no matter what his status is, can perform bhakti, as is stated again in the second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th verse. The supreme occupation of all of humanity is that by which men can attain to the loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service should be executed without motivation and uninterrupted, and this way it completely satisfies the self. People are looking to become happy. What actually satisfies the self? Here it is described. It is that supreme dharma, Saivai Pungsam Paro Dharmo Jatu Bhaktir Dhoksaje. Paradharmo, that supreme dharma, is known as bhakti, bhakti to Krishna. And it can be performed by anyone, but it should be done ahoitaki apritihata jayatma suprasidati. That means should be without motivation to try to get something from the Lord for our own personal sense gratification. And one should do this regularly. Uninterrupted means regularly. One should daily hear the Bhagavatam. One should daily chant the holy name of the Lord in one form or another. Repetition in this work is employed for emphasis. In this scripture, and not in any work, the Lord becomes controlled by the devotee. In this scripture and not in any other work, the substantial object is presented. In this work and no other work, the highest dharma, which rejects all cheating, is presented. All other yogas are excluded in this work alone. And it should be understood that in describing what is presented here in the Bhagavatam, all things which are not yoga or connected to Krishna should also be rejected. Thus ends the commentary on the second verse by Srila Visvanatha Cakravarti Thakur, emphasizing the effective nature of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, encouraging all of us to take this matter seriously. We have the human form of life, which is considered a serious opportunity to rise above the modes of material nature and to achieve the highest transcendental bliss, which is in the divine service, the paradharma, the divine service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna Hare Rama.